Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. As always, across from me I've got Richard and Sean, but more than that, the silent companion I've got to my left. And she promised she's not going to say anything, but you can hear her over there. It's Sean's wife, JJ. Hi, JJ.
So you will only hear her sighing every time I speak. That's it. Yeah, like that.
I'm going to have to, now in the edit, I'm going to have to ramp that up just so you can hear that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're minute 111, but let's start off Monday as we always do. We want to thank the Star Wars Minute guys, especially as we approach the end of this film. We understand what you guys have gone through. You've now gone through, how many films is that? 6?
They've done 6, and they still have at least 2, and it's going to be...
And one more every year.
One at least every year.
At least, JJ, we know there's an end in sight because they've quit making the Planet of the Apes movies for now.
Star Wars is an endless loop now.
But you guys, number one, lovely to be so accommodating to us, but as we say every week, go check them out. It's so much fun. We are approaching the end of this, and I want to give one bit of warning as we get into this last minute. We always put the monkey bleep, which, again, JJ, I'm not picking on you. I know was scared you at least a few times, according to Sean. The monkey bleep will not be used today when we refer to the line in the film, and I'm going to go ahead and mention it, that the GD will be dropped because that is the line in the film. So if you have small children listening, please be aware that will be used. You might want to skip this episode. We will not be bleeping it unless Sean goes on a tirade of them. However, with that in mind, Sean, can you tell us what's going on?
All right, we're going to start minute 111 with Taylor and Nova being blocked out by the strange structure, and it ends with the camera pulling back to reveal the ruined shape of the Statue of Liberty. And as minute 111, we've got 2 living humans, 2 confirmed dead, our poor Dodge and Stewart, 1 dead ape, a shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans. Well, we've kind of hit the reveal point now.
Well,
So I'm gonna pull back just a second because we talked about the last episode because we begin to see the portion of the rig at first that you said was the torch, and I kind of had to go back and rewatch it
over
again just
and over
to verify.
again to
but
see
yeah. They did a really
weird framing, editing point.
We
of him.
see the torch and they're approaching it, and Taylor should know what it is at this point based upon his perspective. But then they kind of reset him further back.
He shouldn't be able to ride under the torch and then pull back again and then ride back.
You would think if that shot was going to be done correctly, it would be track right to left, and we'd go from torch and watch him getting closer and closer until it was over the spires of the crown. But if I understand correctly, I did some research, and of course on Twitter, if I'm incorrect, please correct me. But
I thought you were saying you did your research on Twitter.
I'm saying on Twitter. No, I did not do Twitter research because God knows that would not be right. But those are 2 separate pieces that they used, and that's why they had to cut. The torch was one thing, the headwear was another.
And then so they would just a matte painting.
It almost just looks like a bad edit, though.
It looks like a horrible edit.
Or that they're the two pieces,
different things.
The 2 pieces are completely detached.
Right. Now, a fun thing that I did find out, that torch was used in the final episode of Lost in Space that was called Junkyard in Space.
All right.
It's somewhere in the junkyard is the torch from the Statue of Liberty.
Can you imagine how fun to be when you work for a studio, when you can just go through the props department and go, we're going to use this, like they did in the museum.
Yeah.
Where it's all these random things like that. Well, we're just going to reuse it in Lost in Space.
So
when they use Star Wars outfits and Doctor Who and stuff like that, or Doctor Who outfits.
I was about to say Doctor Who and Star Wars.
Yeah, sorry.
The fun thing was I showed that to my daughter, and she didn't care about either one of them. So we end up here in this moment. We've listened to Taylor bitch and moan about everything.
Now we finally get to see how stupid he is.
And I think just as much as the weird cut from the torch to the crown that bothers me is how he looks. He's shown looking at it. That thing is so big. It's so
how
iconic.
Long has he been riding up on it? It's just now when he's 50 feet away registers?
Yeah.
We've already determined that he's not the brightest, sharpest tack in the box.
He's smart as a box.
The brightest crayon in the crayon box or whatever was right. So he's not. He was also joking with Lucius about, never trust anybody over 30.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And for all we know, on his version of Earth, that time, 30-year-olds had really bad glaucoma and couldn't see the actual Statue of Liberty from that distance. Might have been a little blurry for him.
A little macular degeneration.
He should have borrowed the glasses from the guy in the cave.
Yeah.
I just watch it, and that, just as much as the 2 weird cuts, bothers me because, again, if you're shooting that today, you shoot when he's coming around the crest, he sees the spires.
And then maybe he actually makes the horse rail up.
Right, and he runs to it like he sees it, and it's something iconic, and he runs to it, and then as it comes around, he pulls the horse and stops.
And then he falls off in shock or something.
The gallop would have actually put some urgency to what he is seeing.
Right. But that also goes back to when they got out of the cave. I think I made the reference to, you think about hostage situations in films like Dog Day Afternoon, where you've had a tense moment inside the bank, and Al Pacino comes out to fight with the cops. He's not suddenly all relaxed.
Yeah.
But on this one, they come out of the cave, and it's all like, hey, we're just sauntering around. I'll shoot you with this gun.
And I've been shot. Oh, ouch, the blood.
But, so, whether it was the budget, whatever it is, it's just an odd way to reveal, but we finally have the reveal that he's been on Earth all along, and he stands before a crumpled version of the Statue of Liberty, halfway submerged down into the ground, which
I'm trying to figure out where that's supposed to physically be.
Did the Statue of Liberty get blown up and thrown away and planted, or it has rock and whatever formed around
now, and it was out in the middle of a bay or whatever you consider that. So did it get flung over here in some sort of nuclear explosion?
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes more sense that if it got flung than if somehow nuclear explosions would have formed rock around it. They did think probably at that time it would melt everything. I don't know.
I legit did not even think about that.
Yeah, because it's on a coastline.
I just assumed the water had receded and it was now part of the coastline.
No, that's a big ass coastline then, because it's out in the middle. It's still on
an island, on a series of islands around a bunch of islands. I mean, it wouldn't be so hard to
That's a lot of water receding when you consider that we have actually oceans rising instead of.
Well, maybe they have. Maybe it's been 1,000 years. Maybe we're not dealing with global warming.
At least
we're
13,
dealing with global winter. We haven't gone north, and therefore, with global winter, the oceans have receded. I don't know.
I'm still going to buy that it got blowed up, and I said blowed.
It got a Cloverfield.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boom.
It got flown
right onto the shore.
Well, it does have seaweed on it as if it had been submerged at some point, though, doesn't it? It does have...
Oh, it has a ton of crap around it.
Some elements of things that looks like it had been submerged.
It's on the beach.
So maybe it was submerged
it might have seaweed
and then reemerged. I don't know.
It washed up on shore like a bottle.
Or just birds could have thrown seaweed on it. Who knows?
You should check inside for a message.
I'm trying to keep up with the both of you because he's got birds throwing shit. You want to look for messages.
Crack
I don't know which to go with.
Inside.
Okay, so we get the twist, and immediately I started thinking, what are the greatest twists in movie history? And now I went on and I looked at a ton of different lists, and I really thought, what is it?
So we're gonna have to note that we're giving movie spoilers at this point.
Oh well, if you're at this point,
for other movies, not our movie.
Yeah.
If we're gonna talk about greatest,
if you're watching
this
Citizen Kane by minute, we're about to spoil it for you.
No, I wasn't going to say what is the twist. I just want to say what are films with considered great twists. Yeah, you got Crying Game, you got Seven. Citizen Kane, Third Man with Orson Welles has a big twist ending to it.
Usual Suspects,
Psycho. As Star Wars fans, we can all say Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
So where does this fit in the lexicon of great twist endings? I mean, when you think of it, do you think of one of the most iconic?
Oh, I think in retrospect, yes. I think the fact that you have 50 years of history built on it makes it seem tired, but that's only because you have 50 years built on it. If you look at it on its own, yeah, it's a huge twist. Now, when you look at it the way we have, minute by minute, you go, how is Taylor such an idiot that he can't see this from the very first time he runs into a monkey that can speak English?
Right.
But yeah,
this was a more innocent time.
In a storytelling perspective, yes, this is a big twist.
This is a let me remind you, this is a movie-going audience. I sat through Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Elektra dies. Oh, by the way, spoilers. Shock. Elektra dies.
Spoilers for a movie that's based on comics from the 80s.
And at the very, very end, he walks to his roof, kind of stumbles about a little bit, finds the necklace that she wears that's in Braille, and he goes, "It's in Braille." And he has to say it out loud, letting everybody know that she's still alive. So we're walking outside to the parking lot, and I had like 3 different couples go, "You think Elektra's still alive?" Did we watch the same movie? Did you guys get up and walk and go get concessions at the very end? So I'm just saying, sometimes the movie audience needs things explained.
They do need it spelled out,
and they did this with him not being kind of dumped in the entire
movie. Oh my
movie.
God, I'm back.
Okay, that is true. Yeah. You do get that line, and JJ, it's okay if you laugh. She's over here trying to cover her mouth and not laugh at Richard's tirade, but go for it.
I have some proof right here in the script that I printed.
Go.
You ready? All right. So, dumbfounded, he slides from his saddle, approaches the spikes. Nova dismounts and follows him.
Be his
Taylor, a cry of agony. My God. The end.
Wait, what? That was the end of the movie?
Okay, so from what I understand, much of that was Heston saying he needed something.
He did, and he got a lot of something, didn't he?
Yeah, he got all of it.
He did have problem with using goddamn in it because the ratings, the censor board said no. But he went to them and argued.
We established this as a G movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
He went to them and argued. He went directly to them, which doesn't happen often, and argued, I'm not saying damning of God. I'm asking God to damn them to hell. And when you look at the sentence, the way he says it, God damn them all to hell, it does make sense. But using that phrase at that time in that era, shocking.
Which is funny. That's 50 years ago.
But think about what he says. He goes, oh my God, right? Mm-hmm. Which was my God. I'm home. I'm back. No, he goes, I'm back.
Because I'm thinking Backstreet Boys. I'm back.
All the time it was. We finally really did it. You're all maniacs. You blew it up. Uh-huh. So he's giving us a little bit more about what happened, right? Not just global winter or warming.
And we've still not seen the statue at this time.
Right?
No, they still haven't given the reveal.
Damn you. God damn you all to hell. So he really is kind of explaining more of the ending for everybody, even if they haven't known it, or they haven't picked up on it yet. You blew it all up. I mean, he really is kind of like giving us an answer as to what happened. That you should have been tipped off by what he just said, right? We saw the familiar spikes.
I guess it would be like if Darth
afterwards is like, oh, okay.
Well, now, okay, you say we saw the familiar spikes. Again, we are having to assume that everybody knows what the Statue of Liberty is, and there could be a subsection of culture, of American culture, that doesn't know what the Statue of Liberty is, doesn't know that much about New York, so you can't assume that everybody's going to know.
A view from on top looking down like that. That is, at 1968, that's a view that's, because you don't have helicopters doing those many things, so that might have been, you can still grasp what it is. And I could set him doing the context if he just did, God damn you all to hell. But I agree that you blew it up. Even when I read it, I was like,
that was like,
kind of putting it out there.
I think when you give me the other, I don't need the you blew it up. It'd almost be like Darth Vader saying, Luke, I am your father, which means I slept with your mother. I don't need that.
Right. You don't. And I do think,
Luke,
I would say
your
that
mom was fun.
I think the spikes are familiar enough. I mean, this is 1968, 1969, and we've got two monuments, Mount Rushmore and the Statue of Liberty. We ain't got nothing else. We don't have Disney World. I mean, familiar, iconic imagery. This should have been pretty obvious for this.
How funny would that be if what he saw was Disney World? God damn you all to hell, you blew it up. And it's Mickey Mouse off to the side.
Epcot Center, like splayed in half.
Meanwhile, did y'all notice that Nova is just looking around with the dumbest look on her face? She doesn't have, because she doesn't know, this has no.
Yeah, she kind of gets
this means nothing to her. She's ridden up. Taylor collapses, and it's just a big piece of metal to her, and she's just looking around like, huh?
Looks like her mom. Mom calling for the dinner bell. Come on in, sugar.
It's not going, mama.
So after he says, my God, in the script, it says he falls to his knees, buries his head in the sand, or buries his head in his hands. So the movement of him continuing while he's saying this, I'm back, I'm home, he actually looks down. All the time it was, he falls to the ground. We finally really did it. You maniacs blew it all up. He punches the ground. So he's adding a little bit more, but he was still supposed to kind of collapse at that moment.
Okay. I can see it being a Serling ending with that very poignant cutting the dialogue and letting him fall, cut back and reveal. But we also know Heston. Yeah. Heston's never had a moment where he didn't feel like
there wasn't a scene he couldn't chew.
Go a little bit longer than anybody else. And if he's going to do it, he's going to slam. That's the thing that got me. I thought, okay, how many times do you have to slam your fist, push the mud, slam your fist,
grab the mud?
It was almost like slam, push, slam, push. It was a dance.
Lean in it a little bit more.
It was driving me insane. So the twist gets attributed to Rod Serling. But there's a ton of things out there that say perhaps that he was inspired by some early production art that had, and you can go find this picture, and I'll put it on Twitter. It's a picture of the Statue of Liberty's head in the sand. It's not the entire statue, it's just the head. And that he may have seen that, and that's what...
From another movie or from something else?
They were doing production art, and it was, I think, the consideration
Before the budgets were cut and everything.
So if you go to Pierre Boulle's original novel, Le Planet de Singe, in that it has a twist all unto itself. I'm going to try and read this.
Yeah, what's its twist?
It was
not the Statue of Liberty.
It was confusing to me, and so I tried my best to